And hey there, it's me, Mudlink, and welcome back to some more The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. The last time we finished the first trial. No, first case. It was a good introduction, had some issues with pacing, but now this time we get to kick it up a notch. With episode 2, The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. Let's go. And start this episode.
狭い部屋の片隅、深い闇の中でホームズと私は息を潜めて待っていた。やがて通気口からシューシューと低くうなるような音が聞こえてきた。その瞬間、突然ホームズが飛び出して闇の一点をステッキで鋭く打ち据えた。見たかワトソン。ホームズの張り詰めた声が空気を震わす。私がランプの遮光板を上げると、部屋の情景がぼんやり浮かび上がった。ホームズは部屋の隅を睨みつけて私に向かってつぶやくように言った。被害者が死の間際に言い残したまだらの紐という謎の言葉、その恐ろしい正体こそがこいつだったのだよ、ワトソン。そこには巨大な毒蛇が牙をむき、威嚇するようにとぐろを巻いていた。それは世にも恐ろしいまだらの紐だった。
それでは謎解きを始めるとしようか。この奇怪なる殺人事件、その真相をね。失礼。犯行時、扉は内側から缶抜きがかかっていた。缶抜きに細工された痕跡はない。犯行の際、この現場は完全な密室状態だったわけだ。被害者は死の間際にメッセージを残したようだ。ここに落ちているインクを使って書いたと考えられる。ロシア語。どうやら被害者はロシア人ということか。文字に全く乱れは感じられない。被害者は相当意志が強かったのだろう。見たことのない妙な文字だな。筆跡はこのメッセージとは明らかに違う。いや、これはむしろ人種が違うと断言してもいいかもしれない。札を貼ったのは犯行時間の直前、被害者自身だったようだな。ほう、これは
一体貴様は何なんだ。好き勝手しやがって。
そうです。海洋警察が到着するまで現場に手を触れず待つべきだ。
その必要はない。どうやら今から5秒以内に諸君を犯人に紹介できそうだ。
バカを言うな。殺人現場だぞ。しかも奇怪な密室殺人だ。
それでは密室の謎、その封印を解くとしましょうか。
まさかその中に犯人が。
一体君は何者なのだ。僕は大英帝国が誇る世界の名探偵なのです。シャーロック・ホームズ。もしかして知らないとか。
So I was eating something when that cutscene was happening. Oh, my head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. I got Sherlock Holmes! Oh my god, I can't wait to talk about him. Wait, I can't move. Yep. Ah, what the? Why am I in handcuffs? So, you wake up now, hmm? Oh. Wrong character I was thinking of. We had to drag you out. We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You're a true cold-blooded man. You found me then. We found you. And now you pay. Criminal! How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, sorry. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that... Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Sato. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? Yep. Ha! You pretend you do not know. You are a wolf in the sheep's belt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. What? Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Here, in this very cabin, that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs, surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. No! Kazuma, it was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Ha 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 ha. Don't you find it funny? Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It's really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was gonna die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. Really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey! Honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From my faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I'll tell you what. Why don't you write keep out or something on this piece of paper? What? And I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you at the next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer. No, I'm not a murderer. You said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on this ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susato-san. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there was something I would like to ask of you, too. Ugh, those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream. And these handcuffs. You think I did it? You think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from the outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to not deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Susato-san, you have to tell me. Cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died? The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then. That's true, yes. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say, you were in here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin as I have every day so far on this voyage. But this morning he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and when he managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-sama, collapsed on the floor. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. It is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I've told you everything that I know. Now it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. Ugh, my head feels so heavy. It's like it's still throbbing like anything. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes. I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. How could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, that would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? Prepared to hear the song a lot. It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you want to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it, I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development. Center of the world in many ways. So, sorry. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level. If you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. Hazama-sama's, he was always saying the same thing, that he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. Look in his eyes then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. Susato-san? I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on the ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. If you're not the culprit, then tell me. What happened last night here in this cabin? So here you only got this thing, paper seal, on it. And just these two. Well, the thing is, wait, actually I read that, yeah. I don't really remember. Cosmo brought me something to eat just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that I fell asleep? Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. For some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me. I didn't do it. I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there is no one else who could possibly have done this. Ugh. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? Ugh, I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry. Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around? My hands tied while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life, how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hi-ya! What the? That was a Susato takedown. Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry, prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to... Have you forgotten already? What you achieved just a few weeks ago. You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. Just expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Susato-san to believe me. Show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember it clearly. I thought so. Cosmo always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Ah, yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the door on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor. I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Susato-san. Now, you think perhaps you could help me up? Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least. Thank you. So you finally believe me? I'm sorry. No. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What does she think I am, a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you, to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring trick to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Now you finally get to investigate. Well, anyway, I should make a start investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. So now you get to examine everything here. So you have to, you have to pretty much examine everything here. So let's examine the scroll here. Seigi, Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet you, can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing you drew them who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can! I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on this ship? Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Susato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Oh yes, that's not. Oh yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruto-san? I'm sure you're careful to look all around using left and right, aren't you? Now let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. Because my field of vision has been rather small until now. There's nothing on this table at all. Plate and cutlery all over the place, all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. No, wait a minute. What is it? It's funny, I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No. It's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But, did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no, does that mean... Will Kazuma-sama spend his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Ugh, now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. I tried examining the fucking katana, bro. Come on. What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes. But it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking investigator for information about this crime? Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. Doesn't appear to be laughing either. He is convinced you're guilty. Might have useful information though. I have to keep trying. So last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Niet, of course not. Now back to the corner of the room and make silent. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there. He seemed a little flustered. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. Now he's gone. I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. When I went for help and the crewmen forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt, not particularly sturdy, and just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, if the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel. The culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. She glares at me like that. I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Buria. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass has such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Netsuke fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it. What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It's the color of a brick, isn't it? No, I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf had been ransacked and everything mown down at once. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt it. And perhaps... it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage? I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. Did Kazuma write that before he died? Looks like it's written in ink. Must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in his spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? It's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah yes, I see it says, "This way up" in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized a foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his destination. Looks as though his last entry is incomplete. Which means what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened. Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hiya! It's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. Oh, Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't it the need for clues more important? It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting, making this voyage in your own secret hideout. Trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. Because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin? No, sadly not. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough, or something like that? I suppose. Maybe that's it. Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no, I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. Doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And he is investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? Can't tell. Well, in that case, you simply must talk with him. Or just imagining it, or does Susaru-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press A on people when they're in crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright, I got this suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Let's go and talk with him. Excuse me? Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh, this is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone? He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't kept you long. What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Oh, I see. Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? Feels like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. Our deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well that's true at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, A great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are, a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And, when the ribboned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you're talking about me, right? Are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name. I don't even see one person who fits that bill. Who fits the bill? So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behavior, Naruto-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way I... Hey-ya! Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see? What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, the ship is en route to England, and I am in handcuffs at the scene of a murder, so I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles. You see, I announce my findings with a brassy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes. I love this fucking song so much. So, it's really you? The actual Sherlock Holmes? Oh. There's not a person in the world who hasn't heard of this famous great detective. Not a person except me, apparently. He's 34 years old. I'll say it. Look at him. He's a fucking handsome lad. Also, yeah, I will be getting into a certain part of the controversy when it comes to localizing this game. It has a lot to do with Sherlock Holmes here. Also, why I decided to use a mod, because he's normally in this game called Sherlock Holmes. I'll get into that eventually, or soon enough, I guess. Also, as you can tell, if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan like me, the title of the chapter was named after a story in Sherlock Holmes, The Adventure of the Speckled Band, which is a common trend with the cases in this game. The very same, inimitable. How the fuck do you pronounce that? I know what it means. Let's see, pronounce it. Google.
Inimitable.
Inimitable. Okay. The actual Sherlock Holmes. I can't fucking say that word. You know this man, Suzato-san? The most famous detective in the world? Naruto-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on then? You must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? Oh, this song's so fucking good. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, was it? No. I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Holmes. Yeah, it's just the same. Yeah, it's because it's supposed to be like Herlock. Erlock. Kinda sounds German, yeah. No, Sherlock. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. You could wait. Hang on, let me fucking read that line again. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, France Magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. Never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories? You're a protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Watson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Watson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in a subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look at me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction, and fame. That is what makes me the one and only, Sherlock Holmes. I fucking love Sherlock Holmes it's a tie between him and someone else for being my favorite character in the game. My favorite characters in the game. Let's see who that guy is in the third episode, actually. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have you managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Cosmo-sama this morning, I summoned all the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among the number, getting entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Sherlock Holmes was on board. And handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh really? Two facts, you say? Mr. Holmes, please tell us, please, what two facts were apparent to you when you came into the cabin this morning? Ah, yes, but first let us be precise. The two facts in the question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1. The cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2. The victim was Russian, and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Holmes, what made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. How the I don't know how you pronounce this. Hey, you know, today's gonna be... No, I'm not gonna bother. Actually, you know what? Wardrobe in Russian. Let's see if it actually is. Yeah, it is. Exactly it, yeah. Garderobe. Is that how you pronounce it?
Гардероб.
Garderobe. That sounds funny. Garderobe. Garderobe. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Cosmo-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Cosmo was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderobe maybe the name of the killer. A certain Robert Guard, perhaps. Another reference. Right, yeah. Or I think it is. No, I don't think it is. Maybe it is. I don't remember. Yeah, no. Don't reference anything. At least I don't think so. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe up there at least. Where you found Mr. Naruto sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian, too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. School uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Cosmo had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Oh, you alright, Mr. Naruto? Oh, yes, thank you. Can I ask you something, Mr. Holmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russian before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that. Oh yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Do you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Not even gonna ask what the fuck that word means. Certainly, if it interests you. Or I guess he said certainly. How many times? I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian. Actually, today's gonna be the episode of looking shit up in Russian. Nope, not even close. Oh, it's of course.
Конечно.
Konečno. So, I was pretty much right, yeah. I know fuck all about Russian. I'm starting to learn a little bit now. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part. Ah yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night, the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Cosmo Russian? Sounds like Mr. Holmes had concluded he was Russian because of what Cosmo-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning that realized that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik. No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. No, my dad, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I am a stowaway. That's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Oh yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all of those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about his revolutionary Bolshevik. But this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do you revolutionaries usually greet interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? What about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. And now that it says that, be sure to look at it. This is interesting. You found something relevant, Naruto-san? Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I, but look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Oh, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Holmes. You can explore, you can examine it everywhere, and he will just pop up and be like, "Oh, hey, hello." It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Soto-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruto. On the back, cast your eye over it sometime if interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two, which yeah, we already know now. Before we started talking, you were examining Cosmo's desk, weren't you? Cosmo? Ah yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. You see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Cosmo's keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruto-san, what on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, mikado. Nado, nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. Yeah. So what was all that showing off before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Holmes. I am much obliged. My dear madam. Final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just two short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, at 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writing in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. If I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. You think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No? There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Holmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So what? Were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you're the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Ha 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 ha! Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... Hiya! After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just gonna roll over and accept your fate? As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me. There are still things I can do to help myself, and I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. Is that? Is something wrong, Naruto-san? Oh no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. Can't help but feeling I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir? Yes, what can I do for you? Recognize that face, but it can't be. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Why he has Giselle Brett's theme, I don't understand, but whatever. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew on board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. Is there anything I can do to help you? Please ask. Never expected to see this man on board. Perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. We're just going to talk with him for a bit. We're going to end off the episode once we're able to leave this room, which is very soon. I shouldn't on this. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asoki-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asoki-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even be a possible? How could that even? How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asoki-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board. From morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Spectre. So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed to risk the ship's safety. If you moved even to touch the handle of the cabin door. That stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with? Do you think? Right. Would it be possible to give me something to work with? Do you think? I'm gonna need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how... There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence. It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel, and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate in the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Okay, you go to present here, and you present this. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're a very astute, Inspector. A ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right, so if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going to go against his direct orders? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. Sorry, hiccuping. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line. That's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asoki-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just like move and we can leave this cabin at last. Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. We're gonna move the first class passageway. The 9th of January, 7:48 a.m. SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. Ooh, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit that this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on a study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous, even if he's still sitting down. Even if he's sitting down. The door next door to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs? Naruto-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. You've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. Ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please don't give me that pitying look. So let's start examining stuff. We're gonna end off the episode soon. Ah, a trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back at home, in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called, cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? Wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat an Naruhodo-san. The chop will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But... I suppose you're right. You weren't actually gonna try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Cosmo's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. This is it. This is the cabin next door. Is that the one the ventilator connects to? Yes, the ventilator from which Cosmo-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Oh, excuse me, we, need to get inside this cabin here. Sailor's eyes speaks volumes. They're clearly saying keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign, but over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. Doesn't look like he's gonna let us pass. That's a problem. So now we're gonna talk to him here. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer! That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third class lady's maid. Oh, you seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Suzaru-san. I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman, Biff Stroganoff. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Beef fucking Stroganoff. The stupidest fucking name ever. Love the pun names. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area. Here we are in finest part of Buria steamship for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering. The cabin next to Mr. Asogi's is currently occupied. Duh. Susaru-san? Did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who was traveling in the cabin next door to Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He's a very important Western gentleman. Oh yeah, just to show off. Here he is, Biff Stroganoff, 37. Look at him with this fucking sailor outfit. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with the murder of Student Boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Royal is an authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly students from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it. Even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Cosmo's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone in there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time? Seaman Stroganoff? Duh, all time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about Student Boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. Did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? It! Suzaru-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a... No. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. You didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said, no. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh, it is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Whole kid to second class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on the top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Yeah, a few more things to investigate, then I'm gonna end off the episode. It's gonna be right before we enter the cabin door. This looks like a plan of the SS Burdia. It shows each deck, look. Sorry. The Burdia is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Well, it's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. Oh my fucking god. Clearing my throat. Well, I'm gonna end off the episode soon anyway, so I'm gonna clear my throat after. Oh, fucking Christ. That book on top of the table there really is huge. There's a pen with it, too. Yes, I'm sure that's the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing's so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been... Oh my god, I read that. It's the wrong voice. The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And we look here, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. That's the way to the second class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I went the wrong way. Imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door. That burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started it with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away with while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. What do you think this is? It's a pretty pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. Looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to see. This I have to see. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop, this ship included. You have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry. Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? Small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in steerage is number 539, by the way. 500 and... How many cabins are there? Oh my fucking god. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in the cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. I have to scream. I can't do that. I can't do that. My throat's gonna fucking kill me if I try doing that. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes, it shan't be stopped. When the fit is in on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Holmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. That's gonna be safe for next time, though. Sorry to say, this episode's gone on long enough, and we're gonna end off on a little cliffhanger where we're gonna be inside Mr. Roylet's cabin. So, next time, we have to get to play through with one of my favorite mechanics in the entire Ace Attorney series. So, see you guys then. Bye bye.